Proc SQL, which is structured query language, used to query the databases and also known as the language of databases. So let's look at the definition. Its definition says Proc SQL is a powerful procedure that combines the functionality of data and proc steps into a single steps. Whatever things which you have learned till now, those were either in data steps or in procedures, and Proc SQL combines them both together. Let's look what all we can do with Proc SQL. It says Proc SQL can sort, summarize, subset, join, which is merge, and concatenate datasets, create new variables, and print the results or create a new table or view all in one step. So these all are the things which can be done using single thing, which is Proc SQL. This is why it is called a very powerful procedure. Let's see how does it starts and how is it written. So it starts with Proc SQL sentence followed by a semicolon and it ends with quit. Rest of the statement or statements come in between. So whenever you want to use Proc SQL, first you need to write Proc SQL followed by a semicolon and then write your rest of the statements and end the statement with a quit followed by semicolon. You remember previously we have been using run to end either the data step or the procedures, but here you have to end this with quit. Let's look at the elements which are most often used in Proc SQL, or we can say elements of Proc SQL. So these are the 6 elements of Proc SQL which helps us to query the databases. Those are select, from, where, group by, having, and order by. Today we will learn about 2 things, which is select and from. So to understand this, let's look at a quick story. For example, you have to play cricket, and for that you need a ball, and to get the ball you have 2 baskets. Basket A, which has all blue balls, basket B, which has all red balls. Now the first question which comes here is, what do you need? So you need a ball which has been already decided. Now what type of ball do you need? For that, for example, you decide that you need a blue ball. Then the second question comes, where will you get it from? So by looking at the picture, you can say that you can get it from basket A. So now again when you come back to this area, so how would your syntax will become? Because this is this part of syntax. For this, along with this, you need to provide the instruction. So what is the instruction you're going to provide? You're going to provide the instruction, select blue ball from basket A. So now your complete syntax would look something like this. Select blue ball from basket A. This is what your complete syntax will become. And this is how you can use the Proc SQL. So here, the all which we wanted to say, for example, if you have a table named basket A and another table basket B, and if you want to have a variable which is named as blue ball, then how would you select that? How would you get that? For that, you just need to write select blue ball from basket A. Now let's consider that you have a table cars, and out of these all variables you want to print only these 2 variables, which are model and type. How would you write the syntax? I hope by now you understand it well. I encourage you just stop the video and try to write the syntax for that. Alright, let's go and try in SAS session how we can do that. For that, as I suggested, type Proc SQL followed by a semicolon, then end it with a quit followed by a semicolon, and then in between you need to type the statement. So the things which we learned today were select and from. So in select, from this you have to provide two variable name, which are model and type. So first you would write model comma second variable name, which is type, and then come to the from where do you need to get this? From cars table. Where that cars table exists? That exists in SAS help dot cars, and end this statement with a semicolon. Let's run this. So here you get all the observation from cars table. No, sorry, here you get the two variables with all the observations from cars table, which we wrote in the query. Today's agenda is to understand how to select two, multiple, or all variables from the table, how to select all these variables with condition, or how to use the where clause to filter data in Proc SQL, how to summarize the data using group by in Proc SQL, then how to filter post grouping the data or post summarizing the data in Proc SQL, and at the end we would see how to sort the data in Proc SQL. So this was the syntax. We learned that we can start with Proc SQL and end the statement with quit. In between we can use all of these 6 clauses, out of which we learned select and from. Now out of the remaining we would learn all of them one by one. So let's start with learning how to select two, multiple, or all variables from a table. We will go to the SAS session. Again here in the SAS help library, we have a table named cars, which contains all of these variables. All of these variables. So we would see how to select all of these variables to print a report. For that, simple, we would start with Proc SQL, then end with quit. And to select all the variables, you just need to write select star from and give the location from where you want to select this. That's it. Hit the run button and you would have all the data printed over here. But this is not advised to select all the variables unless this is a specific requirement. Now we would see how to select some specific variable. Let's learn to select one variable first. So out of these all variables, we will select type variables. How to select the type variable? You just have to write the name type variable, and then you have type variable over here. Similarly, if you want to select more variables or more columns from this table, then you can type all of those column names one by one separated by a comma. So here we took type, then we would use MSRP or invoice and weight. 3 columns we will select: type, then invoice, and then 3 columns. These 3 columns we will select from SAS help library cars data, and you can see here we have the data selected over here. So this is how you can select as many variables as you want. Now let's look the second topic. It says select two, multiple or all variables from a table with condition, or using where clause in Proc SQL to filter the data. So here we selected all of the observation for these three variables from cars data. Now let's take an example where you want to select these three variables from the cars table, but this time you want to use some condition. For example, you want to select only those observations where the type is equals to SUV or the weight is greater than 5000 lbs. How you can do that? So for that, just after the from clause, you need to write a where clause. This helps in filtering the data, and then you need to put the condition. So first we would see how to filter based on type. So we will write where type equals to, since this type variable is a character variable, we would type the value in quotes SUV, and then we will run this. Now you see all the observations which we have over here are only for SUV type. Similarly, if you want to combine more conditions, you like if you want to filter type SUV and weight greater than 5000 lbs, so you can just put boolean operator over here, which is and greater than equals to 5000. Now here you can see we have all the observation where type was SUV and weight was more than 5000 lbs. So this is how you can write as many conditions as you want. Let's look at the next. Summarizing the data or using group by clause in Proc SQL. Let me just comment this and let's see the data. Sorry, it is just selected, because of which it is not running now. So for example, this is the complete data, and now you want to see the total sales, total invoice for SUV type, total invoice for sedan. Let me just magnify this little bit. Total invoice for sedan and total weight for sedan, and you want to see how many sedan cars were sold. Then for that, how you can summarize that? Let's go and try that. So for that, you can use group by along with some summarization functions. So because invoice is a value, a currency, we can just do sum and start sum, put the invoice under bracket, and you can just give a name to this summarized value. We will keep the name as total invoice. Okay, then we will also sum the weight. What is the total weight of SUV cars? Or this does not make any sense, so we will just remove this variable. We will take the count of all the cars sold by categories. All right. Then, so the syntax will be select the first variable name based on which you want to summarize the data or group by the data. So that will be type. Then put the summarization function which you want to use. For example, here we want to see how many SUV cars have been sold. Then we will just put a count and type, and we will define that variable with a name. Same thing will happen with sum. And then we will put a group by function. Group by clause, sorry. Group by. Here we want to group by type. Run it. Now you can see hybrid car was total sold unit was 3, SUV 60, sedan 262, and so on. And similarly, the invoice is summed up over here. So this is how you can summarize the table to see a complete report. Now, while you are summarizing, you can also use the where clause to put a condition. Let's look at that, how you can do that. So this time we will put condition, we will put a condition to provide us this summary for only those unit of cars where the weight was greater than 5000. So let's remove this first condition. We want to see all the cars where the weight was more than 5000 lbs, and we want to see the summarized view of that. Let's run this. So these three, there were 15 SUV cars where the weight was more than 5000 lbs and total invoice was this much. Same goes with sedan and the truck. So this is how you can use group by clause in Proc SQL. Now let's see what next we have to run. Filter post group by or using having a statement in Proc SQL. Now we just saw how to summarize the data. Let's remove where clause to explain the next part from here. So this is what the summarized view was, right? We summarized the data to see the number of units sold by each type and their invoice amount. Now, out of this summary, we want to filter only those types of car which were sold in numbers less than 100 or less than 50. Let's take it less than 50. So can we do that? We just saw an example that we can use where clause to filter the data. So can we use where over here? So we have to put a filter on number of unit. So let's see how we can do that. Let's try where clause. Where number of unit less than or equals to 50. Let's try doing this. It says syntax error, expecting this or this. It does not work because where clause is applied on the source data. This is applied on the source table, but number of unit variable does not exist in source table, which is cars data. In cars data, number of unit is not available. Number of unit is created by summarizing this cars data, which is created after this table. All right. So whatever variable is created by using the source table, or whatever variable does not exist in the source table, if you want to put that, put filter on that variable, then instead of where, you need to use having. and then you can run this. Now you can see you have only those type of cars where the number of units sold is less than or equals to 50. So this is how you can use having clause in Proc SQL. So having clause is always used after group by clause, and where clause is always used before group by. So this is how you have, this is something which you need to keep remember. Where is used before group by and having is used after group by. All right. So if you see in alphabetical order, it also happens that first G comes, then H comes. So same applies over here, but W is a reverse case. So here where is used before group by. So that is something which you need to keep in mind. Let's look at the next. Using order by clause in Proc SQL. We just saw how to use having. Now, if you see this data is not ordered. For example, you want to have the maximum number of units sold car at the top and the list is at the bottom. How you can do that? For that, you simply need to use order by and the variable name on which you want to sort it. It is just a sorting, nothing else. Just use this variable and then run. So now you can see the variable, the type of car which were sold list in okay, sorry, our condition was to see the maximum number of sold units at the top. So here we just gonna use DESC. DESC stands for descending. Now just run this. Now here we can see sports car was sold in maximum number of unit, then wagon car, then truck, and then hybrid. So this is how you can use the order by clause in Proc SQL. These were the clauses which are used in Proc SQL, and these are the basic uses of it. You can take it to the advanced level. You can apply your mind and you can put your conditions, you can manipulate, you can run through this table, you can explore through this table. It's a default table which is provided with SAS University Edition, so it is available in every download. I encourage you to go through the table and apply different kind of logics and try to run all of them. And in case of any doubt, you just don't hesitate to put any doubt in comment section and we will definitely get back to you. Is when its definition says it helps in conditionally selecting result value from each row or observation in a table, or helps in creating variables based on certain condition. It's nothing much, but just like if and else statement which we have learned previously. So just let's go ahead and see how does it work. As the definition suggests, we can create the variables based on certain condition. Take an example where we have a table with 5 variables: name, sex, age, height, and weight. We want to put condition if age is greater than or equals to 13, then create a variable named something which should contain a value teenage if the age is greater than or equals to 13. Otherwise, it should be marked as kid. So the resulting table should look something like this, where you would have a category variable. So if we are creating these conditional values, then certainly there should be a variable which should contain these values. So that variable would be named as category, and this would contain all of these values which we have provided here as the condition. So the case when syntax looks something like this. Here one thing you need to note, whatever you see under the angular bracket, those are optional statements, rest are mandatory. So case statement is mandatory, this one is optional. This is nothing but the variable on which you want to apply the condition. Here in our case, A's variable is the case operand. But this is only useful when you have to perform the operation on one variable itself. If you have to perform the operation on more than one variable, then it's not useful at all. So in our example, we will not go ahead like this. We would learn how to use case when, even if we have more than one variables. Now the second line is mandatory, where at least you need to provide one when and then statement. Third line is useful when you want to make multiple conditions, which we would see in the next example in same video. Then it comes the else part. In else part, here you want to put this thing, meaning wherever the age is not either greater than or equals to 13, those all should be marked as kid. And then you will end the case statement with an end, and then you can provide the variable name. Let's go to the SAS and try doing this. Here in work library, we have table named class on which we're gonna apply this condition and create such table. Proc SQL that is, and end with quit. In between, let's put our syntax. Select a star. We are putting a star because we want to keep all the variables. If you can see, whatever variables were present in this table, those all are available in the resulting table as well, plus one category variable. So let's do that. It's time to create the category variable. Case, let's look at the condition. Says when age is greater than or equals to 13, then teenage. Case when age, the variable name on which we want to apply the condition, then the logical operator, and then the logic, and then the result, teenager or teenage. Let's keep it same as the example. I'm gonna put it teenage, then else kid. We're gonna end this. If you want, you can end over here. This has nothing to do with the alignment. I'm putting the alignment just so that it looks beautiful and become easy to understand. After end, you're gonna put as a statement, and then the variable name which you want to define, which you want to have all these values. So here in our case, that variable name is category. Then provide the source table, which is in work library, end with semicolon, and run this. So here we have the resulting table. Now let's make it little complicated. Again, we have the same table, but this time it is available with category. Now we want to apply this kind of condition. So if you notice, this time we have two line for when. One is this, the other one is this. So we want to say when age is less than equals to 12, then mark it as kid. When age is between 13 to 19, then make it teenager. Otherwise, mark it as young. So after applying this condition, we should have a table something like this, and the variable category 2 should contain the value which should look something like this. So if you see, it has teenager, it has kid, and it has young. 3 categories. Let's go to the SAS and try doing this. So I'm gonna remove this part and try case when age is less than or equals to 12, then it's kid. The second when statement is between 13 and 19, then it's teenager. Else, whatever is left, we want them to mark as young. End this as we did in the previous example. Put as and provide the variable name. Here the variable name is going to be category 2, or we can also keep category because the same variable, we are performing this action on the base variable category. All right, and then just hit the run button. So here you can see we got the same result as we had over here. We have this teenage kid and young value. Now let's complicate it little more. This time we have this table again, and then we want to put this condition age between 0 and 13 and height. If you notice, we are using two variables, age and height, and then make it short, otherwise normal. If we are saying if age is between 0 to 13 and height is less than 60, then we want to say that child is short, otherwise that child is in normal case. So we want to have a resulting table which should look something like this, which has category 2 variable which contains the result of this condition. Let's go back to the SAS and try doing this. So here we have category already. Now we're going to create another variable. The condition should be age between 0 and 13. Let's start case when age between 0 and 13. So when you use between, then it considers the starting number and the end number. That does not mean that it will contain only those values which are greater than 0 and less than 13. It includes 0 and 13 as well. Keep that, you need to keep that in mind. So our condition says when age is between 0 and 13, then, and the next condition comes over here, which is height less than 60, then make it short. Next condition, otherwise, okay, there is no next when statement. If you want, you can put it, but here in this example it's not we have not taken that. Else, whatever is left out, we just need to mark them as normal. As usual, need to end this with end word, put as and provide the variable name which should contain this value, which is category 2. Let's run this. Here we have the output which we wanted to have. So this is how you can use case and when statement. You can put as many conditions as you want, you can put as many variables as you want, and you can create your resulting variable. Some of the time you might have a use data, something like that, and you want to study and you want to get the information like number of units, minimum price of each type, maximum price of each type, total invoice of each type. And for that you can use this kind of syntax. If you notice, these all are the functions which are called summarization function in Proc SQL. Today we're gonna see these all are the functions which are used for summarization of tables or to have a summarized study of your table in SAS. Out of all these options, the functions which are most commonly used are these. Out of these all, we will study some of them. Rest of these functions are quite statistical, which we would cover when we start statistical learning in SAS. So to study these functions, we will use these two variables from the table cars. So let's go ahead and see the functions one by one. So the first summary function which we're gonna see is count, fric or n. Here fric stands for frequency and n stands for number of observation. Count is quite obvious to understand, means it is counting the occurrences of observation in a table. So if you see, it says aggregate number of non-missing values. So all these three functions gives you the same number, and those numbers are non-missing values of a given table, of a given variable. Let's go to the SAS and try using all of these. So here previously it has been used. So the first function we're going to use is either count, fric or n. I'll show you all of these three. So here we have a table in SAS help library, and the table name is cars. Here is the table which contains many variables and observation, out of which we will consider only two variables to see the summarization. We will start as usual, meaning with proc SQL, and end the statement with quit, and in between we gonna put the syntax. So as usual, we will start select, and we want to summarize this data. We want to see all the summarized information in correspondence to the type of cars. So first we're gonna select type, then we want to see count, right? So for count we can type count, and we want to take the count of observations in table. All right, so for that you can put star. This will count all the observations, and you can give a name like count of obs, means observations. Same thing you will get with freq function, but here you need to provide a variable name to which you want to count the observation. Let's take an example. If you provide type over here, and if type variable has some missing value, that will not be counted, only the non-missing value will be counted over here. Frequency of observations, then same thing we can obtain using the type function as number of observations, and the source is from SAS help.cars. And always remember, when we are using any kind of summarization function, we must do a grouping. So for that we will use group by type. You can write here, we want to group this information and see it for type. So instead of writing type, you can also write 1, means it will group the data on first variable, and then end with a semicolon. Run this. Here you can see the information. All right, means for hybrid car it has 3 units, for SUV it has 60 units, and if you can see, all of these have same information, means there is no missing observation, because count will take total count of the observation in a table, but frequency and end are going to show you non-missing values in the given variable. Now let's go to the slide again and see next function. The next function we're gonna see min, means we're gonna find the minimum value of a given variable. So here we have one variable invoice, which is which we can say the sale price, or maybe we can take MSRP or invoice. Here we will take invoice, and we're gonna see what is the minimum invoice for type SUV. Same, what is the minimum invoice for type sedan? So let's go ahead and try that. You don't have to do much. Min and invoice as minimum invoice, and we have to keep it grouped on type. Then you can just have it running. Here you can see, so the minimum invoice for hybrid is 17,911, and so on. Let's see what next we have. Next we have max. The same thing, you will get the maximum. For example, you want to find what is the maximum invoice, then you can type max, and in the parenthesis operator you just need to put max as max invoice, and you can again have it running. So you can see the maximum invoice for hybrid is 18,926. Let's see what next we have. Next we have average or mean. Both of these two things perform the same operation. So let's go ahead and try that. So we're gonna see what is the average invoice of each type. So you can just have it copied and paste over here as average invoice. Okay, let's run this and see. Here you have the average invoice. The second function for same thing you had was mean as mean of invoice. Again you can run this and you would see it has the same output. Over here you can see it has the same number. So mean and average, both of these two things are same. If you have studied statistics, you'll know this. Okay, and next we have range. So here we saw the minimum invoice was 17,911 for hybrid type, and the maximum was 18,926, and the minimum invoice was 17,911. So what is the range? In what range the hybrid type exists? All right, so the range is the difference between minimum invoice or minimum value of a given variable and the maximum value of the given variable. That's what called the range. So let's see how we can find the range. Range invoice as range of invoice. Let's run this. Here you can see the range of hybrid is 1015. Similarly, the range of truck is 36,662. This is how you can use the range function. Then you can use standard deviation. So for standard deviation, what is standard deviation? For that you need to read statistics, which we will cover in our statistical learning, but here I will just show you how you can use that. First you need to type std, then invoice as std of invoice. Oops. Std of invoice. Let's run this and see. Here is the standard deviation. STD is nothing, is just a center of dispersion. It tells you around what invoice the prices are dispersed, right? So to understand it more, you'll have to wait for our statistical learning videos. For now, if you are interested, you can just Google it and learn more about it. Then you can see the sum, which is quite obvious function which I use most frequently. So for that, if you want to take the sum of all the invoice for each type, then you can just use sum invoice as sum of, sorry, I just reduced its magnification. This is now 100%, and then run this. So here you can see it's the sum of invoices. So this is how you can use the summarization functions in SAS to group by a given variable and see the summary by that variable. So this was summarized on type. If you want, you can include many variables over here. So let's see if we can include some more variables. So what variable can we use with this? We can use make as well, or we can use origin. Any of the categorical variable you can use with that. Let's use drivetrain. So the second variable which we want to group here, train, and then in group by you will have to put the second variable name. Either you can type the variable name or you can just put the sequence of that and then just have it running. So you get this information, you get the information like this. So it says that you have a type SUV, and in SUV you have two drivetrains. One is all, the other one is front. And then as for SUV all, you have 38 units. For SUV front, you have 22 units, and same the information follows. You can just try it at yourself. As many variable categorical variables you want, you can include over here, and you can do not forget to put them in, include them in group by statement. If you don't put that, that will not give you a correct information. Consider a situation where you have to prepare a student's details report, which should look something like this. But the problem is you don't have all this information available in one place. So how is that available? It's available something like this. At one place you have the information personal info, which has only 3 columns: name, sex and age. You have second table which is called physical info, and that has rest of the information, that is height and weight. But one thing you notice, you have one variable in common which is name, and here that is student's name. So how you gonna prepare this kind of report using these two tables? So today we're gonna learn about joins in Proc SQL. So let's look what all are the joins that we use in Proc SQL. Number one, left join, then right join, inner join, full join. Apart from these four, there is one more join, which is cross join, which is not in the scope of this current video. Probably that will be covered in further videos. So let's go ahead and see one by one. So first we're gonna look at left join. Consider a situation where you have personal info table which looks something like this, then physical info table which looks something like this, and out of this you want to have the details which should look something like this. So the thing which needs to be noticed over here, couple of things. Number one, in this table you have 3 columns. First one is name, then sex and then age. Here you have 3 columns. First one is student name, then height and then weight. And in the resulting table you have name, sex, age, height and weight. So first thing which you need to find out is common variable. So by looking at the picture you can say that this variable and this variable are common, although their column name are different, but the value which both of these two table has in this particular variable are same. So we can use these two columns to join each other. And here the problem statement is you have to take all the information from table personal info, but you want to pick only the matching information from physical info table. So wherever you have a name Jeffrey, so it will go and look into the second table and try to find Jeffrey, and it will print height and weight over here, and that's how you would have complete information, something like this. Now let's have a look at this name James. So James was available over here, but that was not available in this table. So it printed all the information from left table over here, but couldn't find anything for height and weight in the second table, which is physical info. So that's why it is printed as missing. So this is how left join works. It takes all the data from left table and finds the matching value from right table. Let's go to the SAS and try doing this. So here we have two tables, class 1 and class 2. Class 1 refers to the personal info and class 2 refers to the physical info. Now we would try to prepare this student details. Let's write Proc SQL and end it with a quit statement, and in between we're gonna write select a dot star comma. So for the okay, let me show you like this. So the two table which we want to join are from mylib dot class 1, and we want to do left join mylib dot class 2, and we want to join it on the basis of name variable. Let me just erase this first. Name variable from table personal info and student name from table physical info. So here we're gonna write name equals to, name should be equals to student's name. All right. Now we have to tell SAS what all are the variables that we want to pick from class 1. So here we have taken all the variable from personal info, so we can use star, but if you want to pick some specific variable, then you can list down all the variables over here. So the left table, this is the left table, we can define this table as A, and to the right table we can define it as B. Now because we are taking name and student names from both of these two table, we have to tell SAS this variable, where does this variable come from. So this variable comes from table A, and this variable comes from table B. Now instead of saying class 2 we can say B, instead of saying class 1 we can say A. So this is how the join will work. Now it comes what all are the variables that we want, then we can write select space, and now we have to say from A table what all are the variables that we want. So from A, to say from A table we first need to type A, then dot, and then the variable name, which is name, then again put comma, then A, again the table name, and then the next variable name, which is sex, and then A, then age. Now let's go to the B table, which is physical info. So here again we have student name, so we don't need to print this student name again, because again there will be only matching value, only matching value will be fetched up, and for the name we already have a table. Let's see what will happen if we take all of them. So here we're gonna say B dot student name comma b dot height comma b dot weight. Okay, now here our join completes, so this statement needs to be end with a semicolon. Now let's run this. There is some problem. Okay, so when we are joining, I just missed to mention it. So we say select from A, this is the left table, and then we say join put a left join with table B, and for that you need to use the join on variables on these variables. So for that you need to provide on statement over here. So three things you need to note. First, you need to provide the left table, then you need to provide the right table, but before that you have to put the method, what method you want to use, which is left join, and then you need to put the on statement. So this is how you can do a left join. So you can see the result, how does it looks. This is how the result will look. So if you see, the student name is again printed, and that is not making the report look good. So we can just remove this student name, because we already have these names available in name column. So we can just remove that column. We can just omit that column from table B. Okay, so this is how we have a dot name, then a dot 6, then age, and then b dot height. From B table we are taking only height and weight. Now let's run this. So here you can see, now this look little better. Now let's come to the query and try to simplify it. If you see, in table A we had only three variables, and all of these three variables we are taking over here. So instead of typing each name one by one, we can just put star. So all the variables from second table will come. It will give the same result. So this is how you can use the left join in your query. Now let's go and see what next we have. Again, we have been given a table which is personal info, and then we have to try right join using the table physical info, and we want to have a report printed something like this. If you see over here, the height and weight are available for all of the observations, but the name and sex and age is available for only matching. Meaning, what is happening? The SAS is taking all the observation from table B. This is the B table, and trying to find the matching observation from table A. This is the table A. So name column exists in table A. That is why in name column you have only three names wherever it is matching. For example, here it's Zephyr, and Zephyr is matching to this. So that's why Zephyr is printed over here. Same goes with John and Joyce. So the conclusion is, when you do a right join, all the informations from right table gets printed, but only the matching information from left table gets printed in the resulting table. Let's go and try this. So instead of doing left, we can just put right. Sorry, here right join, and then just run it. Here you can see the same output. Okay, now let's see next. Here we have this table, personal info, then physical info table, and we want to have the report printed something like this. Now if you notice here, Zephyr was available over here and Zephyr was available over here. That is printed over here. Okay, same goes with John and same goes with Joyce. Now other than these three, let me take all this. Other than these three, and here these three, other than these three, none of the informations have been printed. These all information have not been printed. Why so? Because here the inner join have been used. So what happens in inner join? It finds the common observations in both of the table for a given common variable, and then it prints to them. All right. So here it took, let me just remove this. Here it took the name, which is the and student name, which is the common variable, and try to find those names which are available in both of these two tables, which are available common in both of these two tables. So it found these three and here these three. So all the corresponding variables in rest of all the corresponding information in rest of the variables in both of these two tables are printed in the resulting table. So this is how inner join works. In inner join, it finds the common observation in both of these two tables and then it gets printed. Let's go to the SAS and try this. Here we just need to change this inner join. Okay, now when you run, okay, I just made a mistake. I just put join twice. This is autocorrect. Now if you run this, here you have this information. Now let's look at the next. Here we're gonna try full join. What happens in full join? You would have a table, personal info, then the second table, physical info. This is table B and this is table A. For our convenience, let's say this is table left and this is right table. Now we want to print this resulting table. If you see here, so what does full join does? It just combines both of the two tables or all of the tables, whatever has been given, all of the tables are combined and it is printed in the resulting table. So if you see in table B, we don't have any information from James, Jane and Janet. Still these all three information have been printed. But if you see in table A, that is left table, we don't have any information for Judy, Louis, Mary, Philip, Robert, Ronald, Thomas and William, but still these all have been printed. One more thing, here we have also printed student names from table B just for the clarity. If you want, you can just omit that. Let's try this over here. So instead of inner, you just need to type full. That's it. And run this. So here you have the full join. So in full join, what it does, it takes all the information from all of the tables, whatever are being used in the join, and it prints them all together. So now we can here I just didn't print it, I just didn't keep the student name so that it could look better. All right, so if you want, if you can just keep that, otherwise it's not required over here. This is how full join works. Now let's see the summary of all of these joins and try to understand. Here you have a table left and you have the table right. Now we're going to do a Venn diagram. We're going to understand this using a Venn diagram. Left table and right table. So here it finds the matching whatever is available in left table and corresponding to those common column in right table, and it prints to them, and this is called left join. Now let's look over here. Again you have left table and you have right table. Now it is trying to find the information in left table which matches to the right table, so which is something like this. If you see, the pattern is red over here, means the right table was red and this was blue. So the pattern is red. Here the pattern is red, if you can see. So means it is happening a right join. So all the observation from this table will be printed and only the matching observation from this table will be printed, and this is called the right join. Next we have one table, then other table, and only the matching observation which are common in both of these two. Only those observations which are common in both. This is left and this is right table, and these are the common observations. Common observations in both of these two tables. So this is called inner join. So whatever is available in this table and whatever is available in this table, it finds whatever is common in both of these two tables, and that gets printed. That is called the inner join. Now here it will take all the observation from left table, all the observation from right table, and it prints all of them together, and that is called the full join. Have learned how to merge the data and how to join them using Proc SQL. Today we're gonna see the difference between merge versus joins. So before we start, just keep in mind, today we gonna discuss the differences between how we write the codes in merge and how we write the codes in joins. We are not going to discuss the difference in techniques, how SAS works when we use joins versus merge. We are not going to discuss anything other than the differences between syntax. So let's begin. First thing, we need to be careful. We need to note what are the prerequisites when we are going to use a merge statement or a join statement. So let's have a look at the prerequisites. So the prerequisites for merge versus the prerequisites for join. One by one, let's see. First prerequisite is there must be at least two tables when you are going to try merge. Same goes with joins. You should have at least two tables when you are going to try joins. Second prerequisite is common variable. One column common in each of the table with common column name and some common observations. While when you try to do join, then you should have one common column in each of the table with some common observations or values. So the thing which you should note over here, this thing is common in both of these two. But look at this part. It's not available over here. Here it says common column name, means first you should have one common column in both of the two tables if you are using two tables to merge. If you are using more than two tables, then each of the tables should have at least one common column. And the column name should also be same in both of these two tables if you are using two tables only. But when you try joins, it's not necessary that the column name should be same. The only thing which is important is one column must be common in both of the tables. Now the second prerequisite, next part in the second prerequisite is common observations or values. There must be some observations common in the common column in both of these two tables. Next, when you try to merge, all the tables must be sorted on key or common variable. Whatever variable you have common in both of these two tables, both of the tables should be sorted based on that column. If you have not seen the videos on how to sort the data, just check out that using the link showing just at the right top corner, upper right corner. But when you try to join, sorting is not necessary. Now without wasting the time, let's go ahead and see how we can do this. First we're going to try left join. You have one table named personal info, second table named physical info. Check out the number of and name of the variables, and then you want to have the report printed something like this. Now again, we are not going to discuss about how the technique works in merge and how the technique works in join. We are not going to learn how the join and merge works by technique. If you are interested in watching that, please check out the link. Please click the link showing at the upper right corner. So this is the left combine table. Let's look at the syntax for merge versus join. When you try to merge, you have to use the syntax something like this. First, you need to provide the data name which you want to create after merging both of these two tables. And then you need to type merge statement. And then you need to provide the first table name, then the second table name, and then the common column, and then you need to provide the type what you want. Again, we are not going to explain what is left join and what is left merge. If you are interested in learning that, check out the video using the link showing at the upper right corner, or that is mentioned in the description below. So this is how you can use the merge. Now if you try to join, you should first start with select statement. Of course, proc SQL and the quit are the mandatory thing. Here you should start with select. Also select is also a mandatory part, and then you need to provide the list of variables from first table. Here we are trying to take all the variables from first table, that's why we have used star. From second table we just want to have height and weight, so that's why we are keeping only those two variables. Second table is named as B, and here we provide the first table which will be considered as left table, and then the second table which would be considered as right table, and we are naming it as B, and the first table is named as A, and then we're gonna use the common variable name over here, and then quit the statement. And this is how you can use the merge versus join to do a left combination of two tables. All right, so the main part you should notice over here is, here if you are doing the left join in merge statement, you just have to type the name of first table with a if statement, but here in joins you need to use the left join. Let's go ahead and see next. Next we have right joins. Again we have same table, personal info, then we have same table, physical info, and we want to have the table joined something like this. So this is the merged table and this is the join table. This outcome will come when you use the merge statement, and this outcome will come when you use proc SQL right join. So why this difference? Why is this difference, right? Why do you see all the names over here but you don't see all the names over here, but you see the observations? If you notice observations, sorry, not observation, rest of the informations are same, but there is difference in names. So why is that happening? To understand that, do not forget to check out the PDV functionality using the link showing just at this upper right corner. Now let's go ahead and see how we can do this thing using the syntax. First we will see the merge versus join syntax. In merge you can try this kind of syntax, and in join you can try this kind of syntax. Again you see, just as the previous slide, you need to provide the table name which you want to create by joining these two tables, and then you need to provide the first table name, define it as A, second table name, define it as B, and then the common column on which you want to merge the table, and then put B because you want to do a right join. So this is the right table. When I say right means right side, not the correct, not the right which is related to correct. Both of these two things are right, but this right means the right side table, and this is left side table. All right, so here you are providing B means second table. So you now what happens when you use the right join or the second table join, that you can check using the link showing in the description below. Now when you try to join using Proc SQL, you just need to type the statement like this: Proc SQL start and quit, then select provide the list of tables from first table and the list of tables from second table, then the first table name and then the second table name, which should be prefixed with a right join statement and then the common column name. Again, if you want to understand the joins, you can check out the video on joins in Proc SQL using the link showing in the description below. So this is how you can use the right join or right merge. Now let's go ahead and see inner join or inner merge. So again, you have the table personal info, then you have the table physical info, and you want to have the data merged, which should look something like this. So if you notice the difference, here in the result we only have 3 observations because only these 3 observations were common in both of these 2 tables, like these 3 names, not these 3, these 3 and these 3. Let me just erase this because that was not common, these 3. So by combining these 3, the output result has been printed over here. So this is the inner combined table. Now let's look at the syntax for merge versus join. For merge, you're going to use this kind of syntax, and for join, you're going to use this kind of syntax. Same happens over here as well. Provide the table name which you want to create after merging the 2 tables. Then first table name, define it as A, second table name, define it as B, and then provide the common variable name. And here the main point which you should notice is this. Here you are saying that fetch the observations which are common in both of these 2 tables. All right, keep only those observations in this resulting table which are common in these 2 tables. That's why you put if and statement over here. If you want to get the understanding on if else statement, just check out the video using the link showing at the upper right corner, or that link also present in description below. Now let's look at the join statement. Again, you're gonna start with Proc SQL and end with quit. Provide the list of red select followed by the list of variables from table 1 or table left or table A, and then the list of variables from table B or right table, whatever you want, and then you need to provide the first table name and define that with a name which is A, then provide the second table name, define it as B, and use the method inner join over here and provide on statement followed by the common columns. So this is how you can try inner join to have the common information from all of the tables produced in your resulting table. Let's look at the next. It's the full join. Again, you have the table personal, then again you have the table physical info, and then you want to have a result produced something like this. This will come when you do the merge, and this will come when you do the join. Again, we're not going to discuss why this kind of difference over here. If you are interested in learning this thing for merge, you should check the video about PDV working, about PDV functionalities, and for this thing you should check out the full join lecture in Proc SQL joins video. The line is present in the description below. Now let's look at the difference in syntax of merge versus join. So for merge you can use this kind of syntax, and for join you can use this kind of syntax. Look at the difference. These all part are same as the previous. The only difference is over here. In the previous join you used AND over here, while here you are using OR. So you are saying fetch all the observations from table A and fetch all the information for the common variable name from table B. So you are fetching all the information from both of these 2 tables. Now coming back to the joins, here same as the previous joins, you are providing the Proc SQL and ending it with a quit statement. Start with select, provide the list of variables from first table, list of variables from second table, then the first table name with from statement, then the second table name with the full join statement. So in to get this kind of output, you need to use full join statement, and here you need to provide the common column name with on statement. All right, so this is how you can use all these kind of joins in both of the methods. Cross join, also known as the Cartesian join, is the simplest of all the possible joins to write and understand. It's simply a combination of two tables. Its result is simply each row from first table and each row from second table. That is, if first table has 3 observations and second table has 2 observations, then the resulting table would have 6 observations. Let's see below. This table has 3 observations, James, Jane and Janet. And here we have 2 observations which are height. So what will happen if you join these two with a cross join? You would have this kind of result. So welcome to the channel. To understand the concept very clearly, please watch the video till the end. Once you are done with watching the video, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe and hit the bell icon. So let's go ahead and watch it in detail. For example, you have been given 2 variables. Let's understand this cross join in terms of mathematics. So you have been given 2 variables x and y, wherein you have to multiply these 2 variables with 2. So what the result would come? So the result would be 2x plus 2y, meaning this 2 first multiplied with y, then first multiplies with x and then y, and the result becomes 2x and 2y. Same thing happens with Cartesian join or cross join. So for example, you have this table with 3 observations and this table with 2 observations. So what will happen? First, this thing will be joined with all of these 3 observations. So the resulting table would have all of these 3 observations and all these variables value, and in the third variable you would have a height, and this same value will be repeated for all of these 3 observations. Let's look at this. So here you can see all of these 3 observations, and this entire record is copied from here and made available over here. Now this value comes in from here and gets joined with the first table values. Same thing happens with the second value, same as here. First 2 gets multiplied with x and then the result becomes 2x. Then again 2 gets multiplied with y and then the result becomes 2y. Same thing is gonna happen over here. So first 62.5 gets joined with all of these 3 observations and the result comes over here. Then this 59.0 will be joined with all of these 3 observations once again, and the value will be printed over here. So this is how cross join or Cartesian join works. So let's see the syntax, how the syntax will work. Syntax will look something like this. As usual, you need to start with Proc SQL, end with quit. Start with select and put all the observations which you want to keep from first table, and then the selective variable, select all the variables from first table and then the selective variable from second table. As usual, you're gonna write from and then the first table name, you can define it as A. Then you need to provide cross join and then the second table name, you can define it as B. One thing to notice, in all of the joins which we have learned so far, everywhere we had to provide on and then the common key. All right, but here that is not required. It's not required over here. In cross join, that is not required. So all that you need to write is proc SQL and then select a dot star, means all the variables from first table, or if you want to keep selective variable from first table, you can just list them down over here. And then this all the variables which you want from second table, you can list down them over here. Please note, if you keep multiple variables from second table, then the observations will get multiplied. So for example, if you are taking two variables from first table and each variable contains one observation, then the result would have, and three observations from first table, then the result would have again 6 observation. And in the same way, it will get multiply as many variables you select from the second table. Let's go to the SAS session and try doing this. Here we have these two tables. One is personal info and the second table is, first one is personal info and the second one is physical info. We're going to join these two tables with cross join. Let's write this statement: proc SQL quit select a dot star comma b dot star, or maybe height. Let's see what all are the values. Since it has one variable, we can also write a star, but I'm just gonna write the variable name from work dot personal info. If you want, you skip writing work because that's the default library. Oops, it's not all. Then cross join second table name, which is work dot b. Now as I said, you don't have to provide any common key or on statement, just run this. Now here you go. Here you have the table which you saw in the lecture. So this is how the cross or Cartesian join works. It's simply multiplication of the observation from two tables and simply combination of two tables. All right. Now one thing I'll let you know today, whatever you do in SQL, till now I have been showing you starting from select statement, and the output which comes, it comes over here. What if you want to store this output in a table and keep that for reference so that you could use that in future? So first, let's how we can store whatever results comes from here in a table. For that, you don't have to do much, just write create table, right? Create table and give a table name. For example, here we're gonna give combined and put as. That's it. This much of the things you need to write, and whatever SQL statement you write after that, the result which becomes whatever output that SQL statement will produce, that will get stored into this table. Let's try this. So here is the table. Here the table has been created which stores that value. Previously it was showing in the result, now it's showing in the table. If you want, you can just print this table. Data, and the data is in work library, which is combined, and then run. So this is how you can store the output of Proc SQL statement in a table. Now if you want to make it permanent table, just don't have to do much, simply put the library over here, and let's change the library from here, mylib, and let's run this. Here you have the data, and here you have mylib and combined table. All right, so this is how you can use the cross join in Proc SQL, and you can store the output whatever Proc SQL statement produced in a table.